Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Monday, Mafia Monday. Let's go further into our novel. We're going scene by scene through all three books that I wrote about the Los Angeles Syndicate. We're in the first one, California Gangsters. We got a short chapter, chapter 24. Let's try to blast through this. I got Mr. Snubby ready as usual. Set your scene right. Mafia Monday. Let's jump into it. The chapter 24 is titled Topanga Canyon. It's a nice area. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been up there. We used to go hiking up there. When I got home from my meeting, Jennifer had a bunch of property listings ready for us to go see. We spent the day driving around Southern California, looking at the various houses her and the realtor chose for us to visit. The properties were very nice, but Jennifer and I both really loved the home up in Topanga Canyon. It felt wild and free, while still giving us access to Hollywood and Beverly Hills for work. The home was off North Topanga Boulevard, way up on the hill, giving us a full 180-degree views. It was a large, white, modern-looking mansion built by some famous architect that I had never heard of before, but one that Jennifer seemed to know about and she loved. She was the type of person to overthink every decision, and it got really annoying, but I suffered through it as best as I could. We stood in the backyard of the house, looking out to the amazing view, and she said, "The schools in Malibu are better, but this area is safer and more conducive for raising kids. What do you think?" I replied, "We can send them to private schools anywhere we want, but safer is better." Jennifer said, "We should do more research and see if the people around here have smart kids. Can you find that out with any of your connections?" I laughed and replied, "What the hell are you talking about?" "No, I don't think I could find that out." "Well, you want me to send Sally to ask if they have any dumb kids or not?" "Sweetheart, this area is fine." Jennifer said, "Well, there's lots of hippies up here. Do you think they're safe to be around?" I replied, "Those are millionaires who dress like hippies. Don't worry about nothing. If you like this place, I'll get it for you." We went back and forth like that for about an hour, and I agreed to make an offer on the house. I bought the place the next day, and before moving in, Jennifer wanted it painted, landscaped, and the floors and counters to be redone. The construction company I was part owner of downtown did all the work in a week, with guys eager to get some side money. I had teams of Mexicans working like ants on that house, inside and out, day and night. They were impressive with how they worked so well. They were like an army. Within a week, I was watching the trucks unload the new furniture that Jennifer had purchased with our interior designer. He was overly gay and annoying as hell, but he set our place up right, I'll give him that. If I were to do it, there'd be nothing but USC posters on the wall and futons for furniture. He stood out front like a contractor like a conductor in an orchestra, ordering the movers to put each piece of furniture in its correct place. He was wearing a tight white jumpsuit with leather boots on. His blonde hair was done up with gel, making him look like some sort of exotic bird. One of the movers went by with a lamp in his hands, and the interior designer said, "Lover, that goes in bedroom number 5. The doors are marked with tape. You're so cute. Look at those muscles." The Mexican mover probably didn't speak a word of English. He nodded his head and walked up the stairs to the entrance of the house. The comments kept coming to no end with every mover who walked by, and not a single one of them seemed to mind or pay any attention. Jennifer was off in the house doing her thing and being happy, which made me think about her questions of our safety. I thought about calling Tom and having him send up a few DTGs to be full-time security around the house. A decision that was hard for me because I hated having security creeps constantly lurking around when I was growing up with my dad. My mind raced with questions. If Jennifer and I had a family, would I be subjecting them to the same crap that I grew up with? Or would I be protecting them? I needed to smoke on it. We'd always made hard decisions easier. And after a few puffs off the joint that I lit, I went to make a call. Tom eagerly sent up a few guys to work the perimeter of the house 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It was the same sort of security detail that I had growing up, except I was the one justifying it this time. And it felt weird. The very first thing on Jennifer's agenda after we moved in was to throw a huge entertainment industry party to show off for her friends. She had a well-known catering company handle the food. The house had a professional kitchen to prepare the stage for many courses, turning the place into a fully staffed restaurant. We had a powerful list of who's who in Hollywood show up. Tom's younger cousins were the valet parking for those who didn't arrive in limousines. A bunch of 16-year-old boys who should have been home studying instead of parking luxury cars till midnight. But I'll hand it to them, they did a great job. When a guest would step out of their vehicle and walk to the house, they were supposed to feel like they were in a fantasy. I think Jennifer's hard work paid off. The home was pleasantly secluded and luxurious enough for the A-list of guests to enjoy themselves with, without annoying invasions of reporters or paparazzi. As people arrived, Jennifer was greeting folks at the door, dressed like she was receiving an Oscar. She was gobbling up the compliments that were dished out by each arriving guest like popcorn at the movie theater. I was nervous about the amount of people's lives on the property that I was responsible for. I hoped that the Chinese triad didn't get an invitation. My DTGs were locked and loaded up and down the block, ready for any sort of war if it were to come to us. More than once during the evening, I noticed that I was having a difficult time keeping up with the charade of my double life as I tried to hold my attention on whoever I was talking to. I felt like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were both raging inside of me, fighting for control. And being around normal people was beginning to feel harder and harder than it had been in the past. I felt horribly out of place in my own home around all these fancy Hollywood types. I kept reminding myself that I was more than just a gangster. I was one of the most successful Hollywood producers in the industry. But the monster was winning the battle. After a great dinner, while most people were still eating, I briefly escaped to the woods in my backyard for a moment to myself. Standing in the darkness alone, anxious, I was hiding from the normal people at the party, I guess. I found peace among the trees and bushes of the canyon, even if it was just for a moment. I stood in the moonlight, puffing thick white smoke up into the air from a joint that I had in my pocket. I noticed the silhouette of 6 crows sitting on a high branch in a tree above me. One of the large black birds leaped from its perch, and the others followed it in sync. They swooped down on a smaller tree to my left, with an owl's nest in it. The crows attacked the nest, screeching, caw, caw, in a haunting manner that only Alfred Hitchcock would enjoy. The crows worked methodically like a team of hitmen, carefully taking turns attacking the mother and father owls. After a brutal fight, the giant owls had to abandon their young before being killed themselves. Feeling victorious, the crows went to work, swiftly devouring the owl eggs. I puffed my joint in awe at the violent event ensuing above my head, like I was watching a nature show on TV. I was excited at first, but then I became scared as my mind turned to the triads. The Chinese would always be lurking in the darkness watching me, just like these crows, waiting for a chance to attack me and my family. I snapped out of my daze and stopped by the front gate to check with my security team who were walking the perimeter. They were each exactly where they were supposed to be, which made me feel good. After the evening began to die down, Jennifer came over to me on the back patio and sat in a deck chair beside me. She looked pleasantly exhausted and said, "Hey, babe, what a night, huh? Thanks for being here. I know you would rather be downtown with your friends." I smiled back at her and said, "That's changing. I won't be lurking around my usual spots downtown any longer, unless it's for weekly meetings. I'm focusing more on the movie business and my other companies right now. You know that guy, what's his name? The skinny hippie. We just made a movie deal that might pay for this house and probably 10 more like it. Jennifer said, "That's great, honey. I want 10 more, in locations all over the world." And I replied, "Well, I love you, sweetie. Sorry if I've been a little bit distant lately." Jennifer kissed me on the neck and said, "Simon, are you ready to be a father?" I spilled my drink and replied, "Are you pregnant? How the fuck did that happen?" And she punched me softly on the arm and said, "You know damn well how babies are made." I smiled and grabbed her hand and replied, "Well, that's wonderful news." Jennifer stood up to return to her remaining guests and said, "I thought you would have got the hint earlier. I need to go back inside to say goodbye to the people. I love you, honey. You're going to make a wonderful dad someday."